Welcome back to No Substitutes, the show where I have on Morgan. The show. I'm going to keep that in. The show where I have on some of my favorite people and we talk about what ingredients make them who they are. And today I have a very special guest, but actually this is the first time I'm meeting her. But she's a talented director, a fellow podcaster, author, and just a very warm person all around so far. I know I've only spoken to her through Instagram mostly, but seems like a great person. So please welcome Florence Bark.
Hello.
Hello. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Such a pleasure.
How was the drive over?
Oh, it was really short because my uncle lives
Oh, lovely.
local.
Is your uncle also British?
Yes, he is, yes.
Wow.
Yes, all of my family are actually.
Oh, well, I figured, but I didn't know, like, if you were born,
Yeah.
if your one parent was from America or...
Yeah, he actually moved over when he was 30, which is exactly the same as me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
How-
Followed in his footsteps.
Yeah, love that. Is that the only family you have in California?
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's nice. At least you got someone.
Yeah, I've got one person. That's what counts.
Exactly. Well, perfect. Let's jump into it. What are 3 ingredients you would say you need for your profession? And by ingredients, I don't mean food, but I mean qualities. So
I was thinking about this and I was thinking, oh, there's generic things like creativity but I was like, I think vulnerability
right.
is something that's super important for everything that I do, whether it's with like the podcasting, because we're talking about super vulnerable topics, from like writing about sex to directing to doing my OnlyFans content as well. I think vulnerability is one of the key things that we need, because we need to be kind of comfortable with exposing ourselves in like such a deep way.
Right. In a way that most humans don't.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's what made me love the whole industry altogether was,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like such a raw human experience. There's no masking it.
Yeah.
I mean, acting, but
yeah.
even when I'm acting, I feel like I'm still, I don't know. There's certain parts that get brought out in you.
Oh, exactly. And you kind of don't realize until people are like, wow, like what you're doing is so vulnerable. And you're like, oh yeah. I guess it is.
Yeah, especially when you've been doing it for a while.
Yeah.
Then you're like, oh, well, it just feels natural to me.
Exactly. And everyone else thinks it's so wild to be able to do what we do.
Yeah. It always reminds me of Brene Brown, because that's like her whole thing is the power of vulnerability. And
It's a superpower.
yeah, it's a superpower.
Yeah.
Because I feel like so many people, even myself, or I'm sure you've felt this, like there has been times where in life you feel armored up.
Yeah.
And so I feel like in this work, you got to take it all off.
Yeah. It's really,
physically
really
and
true.
emotionally.
Yeah. Like always, and times where you really don't want to as well. Like especially like having like a podcast that's going out all the time. You have days where you turn up and you're like, I'm going through a breakup, or like there's weird things happening in my life, and like I still have to be here and like be here for the audience.
Be present and show up. Yeah.
Yeah. We did a live on our Patreon the other day, and I mentioned to everyone that I was going for a breakup, and someone accidentally had their audio on in like the Zoom audience. They were like, no. I was like, oh.
Aww.
I really like felt that, like sharing your vulnerability like that, and like having people like watching your life being like supporters like that is really cool.
That's awesome.
I know.
Yeah, it's really special when you like start to build that community.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
What was the best meal you had because of working on Munchies?
Oh, I did work on Munchies ages ago.
Oh.
That is such a throwback. I don't even think, because I worked at Vice for like 2 years.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And one of the best things that I ever did whilst I was working there was work on Munchies with the host of the pizza show. Frank something from like Brooklyn, the best slice, the best pizza or something in Brooklyn.
Nice.
And yeah, that was a really cool experience actually. I really like working on that. What was the question again?
What was the best meal you had?
The best meal ever in my life?
I don't know actually.
Or
yeah.
from working on Munchies?
I was like, because you're working on like a food show, so I was kind of curious, like, what was the best meal as a result of working on that show?
Yeah. It would have definitely been Frank's pizza.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, he had like a speciality. It was like a white pizza with caramelized onions and like a sesame seed crust.
Whoa.
With I think some like ricotta. I don't think it was like a normal mozzarella.
Right.
But it might have been also. He also handmade me some mozzarella, which was really cool.
Whoa.
And at the time, I had just turned vegan, but I didn't tell him that.
Right.
So I was
You're
like,
I gotta eat this now.
I was like, I've been watching the pizza show for so long. I was like, I can't tell him I'm vegan.
Right.
He's gonna hate me.
Yeah. You're like, I'm gonna get kicked out of this.
Yeah. I'm not vegan anymore, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, what was the biggest lesson you learned from working at Vice? Because is Vice like, it's done, right? It's
Vice,
not there.
yeah, Vice was a really interesting experience overall, honestly, because there were so many good things about it. We really were able to make and create anything that we wanted to an extent. The men in the team got to definitely do whatever they wanted, and whereas I had to fight like a little bit harder to get the stuff that I really cared about made. Including like a little documentary piece that I really wanted to do on like the cess to foster when everything was happening. And I remember I was out here on holiday and I went on one of the protests and I like filmed some stuff and I was like, I really want to like include this in like a short film so I can educate people on what's happening. And I literally had to force them. I think they only put it out on Facebook or something weird like that. But so yeah, Vice, I feel like I learned so much about my own skills though. From that, I realized that I was capable of, shooting, producing, directing, interviewing. I learned how to interview really well because I interviewed the like wildest people, from like an exorcist to a serial killer profiler.
Whoa.
That was probably one of the coolest ones I did.
Yeah.
He like interviewed Charles Manson and the Yorkshire Ripper and like all like the classic serial killers.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be a very interesting job.
Right? I think he was a consultant on one of those
Documentaries?
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And like if you're going to get any answers from someone, especially if, you don't really want to go visit the prisons they're in, probably just hit up the guy that already did it.
Yeah. He was very, very interesting. He also had like, this is really going off topic, but like he had the traits of what a serial killer would have in his own life. Like he was abused by his father and like loads of things like that. And I guess he was just like, I decided to turn it into like a positive thing instead of like going down the negative side.
Yeah. Well, I feel like if he's, he has the same kind of background as them, it's probably easier for him to just go have those conversations with them because he's not as disconnected or like afraid as, other people are, because other people can't wrap their head around why someone would do that. But maybe he is like, well, when you've been put through the ringer in life, especially early on, and you kind of look at it from a more logical standpoint rather than emotional, it's probably a lot easier to have those conversations.
Definitely. That's a really good point. He said that he made Charles Manson cry. Like, how?
Wow. I hope he wrote some books or something, because I am curious.
Yeah, we'll have to drag up the old Vice video. It was like the 10 questions you want to ask a serial killer profiler.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, I have to get his info. Maybe we could have him on here.
Yeah.
Speaking of podcasts, what guest on your podcast has taught you the most?
Gosh,
I guess which guest on your podcast?
Yeah, that's such a big question. Oh my God, because we've been doing our podcast for like nearly 6 years.
Oh, wow.
At this point.
That's awesome.
there's been so many amazing guests because our whole the podcast for the first 2 years we had a bit of a different format, and we would have people come on and tell us like what their first time was like, the best fuck they ever had, and then the worst experience during sex they ever had. And then I feel like one of my favorite episodes is I had Duncan Trussell on the podcast, and that was legendary because I love his Family Hour podcast, and you know how he's super like psychedelic and like really goes deep, and we had one of those like super deep Duncan Trussell conversations about like
that's awesome.
universal orgasms and all that stuff. So that was really, really cool. I don't know if I learned from him, but it was a very cool experience.
Yeah. No, for sure. I feel like, with guests, you already kind of know what's you're getting into when you interview them. So there's not going to be too much, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. I guess influence from them. So.
Yeah. It's cool to have like, we had like therapists and like doctors.
You had Erica on, right?
Yeah, Erica Lost. Yeah. And so I guess it's just getting learning other people's experiences, especially around sex, is fascinating. I feel like I learn from every single person that comes on.
No, for sure. What are some relationship and sex advice that you give to yourself? What are some relationship and sex advice that you give that you struggle to follow yourself?
Oh my God. Wow, that's such a good question. I feel like it's so easy to give out advice, isn't it? And then to follow it yourself. I guess probably my thing that I struggle with most is getting out of my negative patterns, because I can so easily tell someone to stop being unavailable people, and be like, just, like take it slow, like really learn, like communicate what you both want at the beginning of when you start dating. And then I do the complete opposite, and just every single person I've dated in the last like 5 years has been completely unavailable.
Do you love bomb?
Do I love bomb?
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
feel like it's
so.
something people don't usually admit to, so I'm always curious.
I don't think so, but I know that I have like ADHD and autistic traits, so I do hyper focus on people.
Yeah. Okay, same.
And I don't know if it comes across as love bombing though, but I feel like I fall in love quite quickly. So I wonder if that comes across.
That's also, I guess, a very personal thing versus when I feel like more narcissistic people are the ones that, when you really look in the definition of love bombing, it's more for their own like ego. Yeah. Versus you're just like, I admire this person, even if you may not know all the parts before you decide that. Yeah, so that's what I do too. I think every person I've been with, there is definitely, especially early on, I think this is the best person ever. This is the most interesting person ever. And then,
this is the best person I've ever met in my whole entire life. And like,
they're so great. And
everything else.
Everything's great. It all feels great. This is probably my person. And then a few months go in and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like bad patterns show up or,
I just always get to a point where they're like, just not really ready to take things to the next level. And I wonder sometimes if I would push myself into taking it to the next level, because I'm just like, because I set myself up in such a big way without really learning about them.
I went through that last year. I totally had that realization of choosing those partners. I'm like, why do I keep choosing emotionally unavailable men? And then besides, my father being that way, I was like,
that's exactly why.
Yeah. But then you think it's, but then you think it's like, you're just choosing that, or you think that it's them. You think like, oh, it's just what I'm attracted to. But then you realize, well, actually, if this person was ready, what would I actually want to be in this?
Exactly. Would you have found them like attractive in the first place? There's something I was learning from, there was like a Harville Hendricks book Finding and Keeping Love. I started reading or listening to that, and it's an audiobook after I got out of an actual abusive relationship at the end of last year. And he said that we're constantly attracted to people that remind us of our parents, and we actually just can't help it. And you have that feeling of like, wow, I feel like I know you already, and like it feels really like comforting and comfortable, and it calms down your nervous system. But that's only because that's what we were used to when we were children. So that will be what feels really amazing and calming and comfortable. And yeah, I wonder if maybe as we're both similar, we need to like move into the uncomfortable. But I wonder, like, how would you be if like someone was like so available at the start?
I definitely have ghosted people for that. That's why I'm like, I've been on both ends of the dating spectrum. And yeah, it's like, I don't know why it's way more scary when a man is like, I want this. I want to be with you. And I'm like, why? And then the man that's saying like, oh, you know, I've just been really busy. You're like, well, I thought this was going this way.
Yeah. Although I feel like sometimes they just say, even if they say what you want to hear,
or that, and then they do the opposite.
And then there's it's when the actions don't match up with the words. That's the perfect combination.
Yeah, it's so easy to focus on what they're saying. And what they're promising.
Or the actions, and then the words don't match. So they're like acting like your boyfriend, but they're like, you know, I don't really know what I want, and I've just come out of this relationship, and you know, all of that stuff. That gets me too. Yeah. So that's my shit.
Awesome. Love the dating world.
Yeah, it's great. Ooh.
Well, speaking of childhood, who did the cooking in your family growing up?
You know, both my parents did, I think, but mainly my mum, I guess, like for weekday cooking and stuff like that. I remember I was like the pickiest eater when I was a child, and I wouldn't eat the stalk of a broccoli, and I would have to dip the broccoli in ketchup. So my mum had a nightmare. My little sister would only eat the flower of the broccoli. Oh, wait, no, that's what I did. She would only eat the stalk of the broccoli. But then if she cut them, we wouldn't eat either of them.
You're like, no, I need to eat.
We were really bad.
It has to be attached to it.
Yeah, so my mom had to do it.
I remember my mom telling me that all the vitamins were in the stalk of the broccoli, and I was like,
oh, that's what she should have told me that.
Yeah, I was like, that's so hard.
So you only ate the head of the broccoli too?
I tried, but I mean, now that I'm an adult and I get to choose what I eat, I only buy broccolini.
Which is actually more stem than flour.
But it's like, that's the thing. I'm like, cauliflower and broccoli, their stems are so thick, and that's why I don't like. It's almost like I don't.
It's too girthy.
It's too much for my teeth to do. It's like too much work for my teeth.
Yeah, more sensitive teeth. Like, no, but I don't need that.
It's okay. I'm curious. Did you ever eat like really British food?
Yes, probably. What do you know about British food?
I know you guys eat beans for breakfast, which is
full English.
Very weird.
Full English breakfast is like baked beans, Heinz
baked beans. Yeah.
Baked beans,
and that because it's like Spanish people eat, Mexican.
Yeah,
food.
But it's not the same.
Yeah, Mexican food I can understand for the morning. Oh yeah, you're Mexican. Yeah. Or are you gonna say something?
Actually, I kind of was. Because when I think of British food, obviously besides like fish and chips, I also think of curry. Do you count like curry?
Curry?
Because it's also
there's a lot of Indian food.
And because then like in California, like we think of like tacos and burritos, which is like a Mexican thing.
This is very true, actually. But no, I wouldn't consider.
It's not the same thing.
No.
Okay.
Because I think when people talk about British food, they're thinking of like bangers and mash.
Yeah.
And like a Sunday roast dinner.
Is shepherd's pie English?
Shepherd's pie.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of like potato based.
Potato and meat.
My mum has been a potato fiend like her whole life, and that has then transferred onto me because our heritage is Irish. So yeah, we eat
big
a lot.
potato eaters.
Baked potatoes are like my comfort food.
Yeah.
With like tuna and mayonnaise and sweet corn.
Whoa.
My
I don't think I've ever
recent
eaten
ex
that.
thought that was the most disgusting thing he's ever heard of. He was a New Yorker though.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, New Yorkers are. I actually feel like New Yorkers wouldn't be as judgy about food, like real New Yorkers, though. I don't know, because there's a lot of people from New York, but the people that have like families that are from New York, I feel like they're very open-minded.
Yeah.
Californians, no.
No, I feel like everyone should try a baked potato with tuna,
I'll try it.
mayonnaise, and
Yeah.
sweet corn. It's
It
nice.
actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it is good.
I mean, there's already, like, I know there's people that eat baked potatoes with like chunks of bacon and cheese and sour cream and all that.
Yes,
so
it's kind of like similar to like sour cream
but
vibe.
it's more England like.
Sometimes I throw baked beans on top of that.
Okay, that's a step too far, I think.
It also in California we have to like steal it before we accept it. So like we have
Right.
California rolls and California burrito,
Right,
and then
we're
now
like-
it's acceptable.
Yeah.
you know,
So there's
Now
a
we could
California
have
baked
all-
potato. What would that
Yeah.
be?
There's French fries on top of it, and
A French fry
Yeah.
inside a potato.
Yeah.
Oh,
there
That's
you
true.
go.
I'm like all their. Well, no, the California roll is just like avocado. So
so it would be avocado.
Yeah,
in
I feel
a
like
baked potato.
I feel like
Actually, I think I would
Californians
try
love
that.
avocado. Yeah,
I would try avocado on a baked potato.
it'd be good.
So, yeah.
Yeah,
I think if it was gonna be a California baked potato, it'd be like avocado, and then like something from
know.
Erewhon. I don't know.
Yeah.
or like the tiny tomatoes.
Sun-dried tomatoes,
No,
No.
like
The cherry tomatoes.
cherry tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, the pico.
salsa. Yeah, we put,
Yeah, more like salsa.
yeah, pico de gallo kind of stuff.
Yes, that's
style.
what it's called.
I don't like it as much anymore now that we're
Yeah.
adding tomatoes to this. I don't.
It doesn't sound
Just do
that
it the
Baked
British
delicious.
way. Come on.
you guys can have baked potatoes. It's your thing.
Yeah,
we don't
we
need a
can-
Yeah,
California.
you're like, you know
though.
what, we're good. We've stolen so many other things, even like Korean barbecue.
Yeah. We stole the good stuff, so
Yeah.
there's nothing left to steal.
I mean, yeah, everyone shits on British food. It's not. It's just it's very like comforting
Yeah,
food because the UK is miserable, grey,
Yeah.
and like everyone's slightly depressed.
yeah. So they're like, we need to get some sort of
Yeah,
dopamine.
and
We're
the
gonna
only
eat
thing
some
that we can
potatoes.
grow over there is potatoes. So
There you go. It's not their fault. It's not their fault. What was it about California that made you want to move here when you visited at 17? Besides
Ooh, how did
California burritos and California rolls.
that exact thing. Yeah, first time came over here when I was 17. I mean, I worked in the film industry amongst all the other things that I've done and was always obsessed with the movies. So I think when I came here when I was 17, I was just like, this is incredible because it's like everything that I saw on TV growing up, but like the magical side of the world, not like the grey, grim, miserable side of the world.
Yeah.
It seemed like the sparkly, like
Right. Hollywood. The glitz,
and
the
it
glam.
was sunny all the time.
Yeah. No.
There were palm trees. My favorite tree.
Who knows?
My little tattoo thing from YouTube.
yeah, another thing that we stole because
Oh,
palm
yeah,
trees
palm
are
trees
not
aren't
native
native
to
to
California.
California.
Yeah. California just stole everything, I guess.
I mean,
all
the
we have is
U.S.
good- we have gold
altogether
and
is
good
such
weather.
a baby, like,
Nope,
country.
yeah.
It's such a, it's so
It
new
is.
still.
It is.
Like,
I think that's
every
the
time I
wildest
travel,
difference.
I'm like, wow, there's so many lifetimes and history in this place, and then you go home and you're like, this building's only been here for 40 years.
Yeah. I mean, we have castles from like the medieval times,
Yeah,
which is
That's
wild.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it really was the sunshine,
Yeah.
honestly. I was
Yeah.
like, how everyone out here is living in like a summer holiday all the time, and I need that.
Yeah.
Because I've always been like a summer person.
What would be the European version of that, you think?
Like moving somewhere in Europe?
Yeah, that would have like that kind of weather. most of the time.
Isn't it Spain? Doesn't everyone retire in Spain?
Yeah, everyone does move to Spain. Spain probably has the closest
Like
climate.
yeah.
Yeah, I would say that, but it's still not great.
Yeah.
Like we used to go to on family holidays every year to like France and Italy and Spain, mainly Italy in the end. But it's gorgeous. It's so nice out there. But we went out there sometimes for 2 weeks and it would be raining the whole time.
Yeah.
That just doesn't happen out here, really. It's like so rare.
I got off the plane the other day though, and it was gray, and I was like, "What is happening in LA?"
Do you like it when it's gray out here?
I do. I mean, I'm from the part of California I'm from.
Yeah.
It was always pretty rainy and gray, so I feel pretty comfortable in that weather. But I do love the sunshine too.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I love
Yeah.
a nice tan. I love.
I miss the rain sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's nice. Rain is nice, like especially when you just go out in it and just like do
I love
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah. I forgot about that video. Yeah. No, I mean, I spent my childhood like we would always walk through Redwood Park, and even if it was raining, we'd still go there.
So nice. I actually did a road trip with my dad earlier this year.
Yeah.
And when we were up in the redwoods, it was just pouring with rain, but
it's so like
so
lush,
beautiful.
and you almost feel like you can feel the trees like breathing more because
God, yeah.
they're being nurtured by all this fog and rain, and you just, I don't know, the colors are more vibrant.
It was amazing.
Did you go to Fern Canyon?
No.
That's a crazy hike.
Ooh.
It's literally just a wall of ferns.
Wow.
And it's so pretty, especially after the rain. And there's elk, and there's...
Yes, I saw the elk.
Yeah.
My dad thought they were hilarious. He was like, "There's elk, mate."
Oh my God.
Yeah. Just the Brit. We're really
Brits.
terrible.
Oh, it's okay.
We ruin everything.
Oh, what is your favorite memory from your childhood?
Ooh, favorite childhood memory.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it has to be our family holidays.
Yeah.
And I think part of that weirdly is food related as well, because every time we would be out like in Italy, we would be eating just all the pasta and all the pizza. My mum was really, really good at organizing budget holidays.
Wow. That's awesome.
And we would always be staying in these, like she'd find these just like villas like in the middle of nowhere that we would like go on like long road trips to.
Wow.
And we weren't like super wealthy or anything. Like we really didn't have that much money, but she would find a way every year for us to have like a 2-week trip out to like wherever.
That's why I love European culture.
Yeah.
We
do holidays.
So many holidays.
Yeah.
And they call it, we call it vacations. And I think that's why we like as a country, we don't do it that often because we're like, I don't know, you associate with taking all this time off work and feeling lazy, but then you go to Europe and I'm like, these people are affording life and doing like 7 holidays a year.
Yeah.
And I feel like because you call it holidays also, it like associates it with more of a celebration of taking time off rather than vacation.
Oh.
I'm just going to take a vacation. I feel
That's
like
really
Americans...
interesting.
I feel like that's why Americans have a harder time doing it. Oh.
Also, like one of the things I'm so jealous about Europe is all those countries are so close by, which is an issue in America because we have to travel. We have to fly really far.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's super easy to travel for us.
Yeah, and then
the only thing that's kind of cool is like if you want to travel and see more of this country is just doing it by car.
I mean,
but even I know people
the
who
American road trip is amazing.
Yeah.
Like this country has it all.
Yeah.
It's better than Europe.
Yeah, listen.
Wow, that's quite a statement.
Yeah. It's like yes and no. I feel like environmentally, maybe like if you want all these different climates, right? For sure. If you want to experience all these different places and do it within a span of a few weeks.
Yeah.
Do the US, but when it comes to culture and food and even the sights, I feel like I would choose Europe over America.
I mean, coming.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's just because I'm so used to it as well.
Yeah,
I was
take
really,
it for granted.
yeah, and because my mum took us on
Right.
lovely holidays every single year.
Yeah,
It was just such
you've seen a lot of
given.
it.
Yeah, and I was doing it since I was a child. When I was 2, they took me to the Bahamas, though. It was just wild. 'Cause
Interesting.
my auntie was living out there.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
We used to also go up to the Lake District twice a year as well, which is like the north of England.
Oh.
Beautiful, like just rains a lot, but it's just like luscious.
That's where all the like
countryside.
land and farm
Yeah.
kind of part
It's
of
kind of-
England.
I feel like it's what Americans think of when they think of the UK. It's like that quaint country
Yeah.
living where everyone's in raincoats and like they're farmers
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But that
That's
was
true.
really beautiful as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, what are some foods from home that you crave most since moving to Cali?
Apart from baked potatoes.
We can make those here.
Yeah, you can. I feel like you can pretty much make everything here. And maybe like
Yeah.
a roast dinner. Because like going to a pub and having a roast dinner, like you don't really do that here. And
No. We have like fish tacos at our
yeah,
pubs.
yeah. And also the fish and chips just don't hit the same way.
No. Yeah.
You
I think
have-
that'd be one of the first things I'd try if I ever go to England.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things that you think about and you dream about and you're like, oh yeah, I really feel like that. And then when you eat it, you're like, this is the stodgiest thing I've ever eaten in my life. And you can't move for about a few hours afterwards.
Oh, damn. Okay.
But the Sunday roast in a pub on like it's always on a Sunday.
Okay. Why a Sunday?
I think it's a religious thing,
Oh,
maybe.
okay.
It's like family day.
Oh,
And it's like the family meal.
okay.
Yeah, everyone gets, and then once you move out of home, then you just go to the pub with your mates.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Aw.
then otherwise it would be with your family on Sunday, and it'd always just be a ritual, I think, for us Brits.
I love that.
Yeah,
I like any food rituals.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I guess, do you have that in America? That you don't have?
I
a
feel
family
like-
roast?
I feel like if you do, it's from heritage that you like your family already had, or you create it yourself.
Yeah, and like
but,
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, like we
Yeah,
have
right.
that. I think that's the only time I know every family is like having a dinner together.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I don't think it's more of a personal decision.
Yeah,
Like,
you can bring it
yeah, if I ever have kids.
in. Yeah.
Who are some people who have helped you grow?
I would say my co-host on my podcast, Reed. We've been doing Come Curious for 10 years. Now we started on YouTube and we met like on a set in like this really dodgy studio in London, which I think
Whoa.
it ended up being like some money laundering type of
Makes sense.
even brothel situation.
I didn't even
honestly.
know anyone was shooting out there.
It was so not real.
Oh,
It was
okay.
like I
Yeah.
was like 21 at the time and just naively believed that I was trying to get into the industry
Yeah.
in that way. But me and Reed met there, which was really, really cool. And we started Come Curious. And why she's changed my life, I would say I felt like so uncomfortable about so many parts of my body and sexuality before meeting her. And she was like the first person that came into my life that kind of shared the same passion for sex that I did. And we would just sit around. I ended up moving in with her. We'd just sit around talking about like, I don't know, like hang-ups that we had about our bodies.
Right.
Like, I don't know, even like nipple hairs or
Right.
like discharge. 'Cause
Yeah.
you never like talk about this shit
Right.
with anyone. You're like, is this not?
Yeah.
What do your knickers look like at the end of the day?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just feel like we changed each other's lives in such a huge way. Like I never ever planned on doing kind of like a sex education advice tips YouTube channel for the last 10 years, but met Reed and that's what we ended up doing together. And I think because we ended up helping people, we're just like, well, we can't stop. This feels, it's fun. It's fun to talk about sex.
Well, it
and-
also goes back to the vulnerability thing. Once you
Yeah.
are vulnerable with people and they're vulnerable with you and you create that space,
yeah,
magic can happen.
yeah,
So,
really
That's
does.
really cool.
So yeah, she totally changed my life. I'd also say exes in like a weird way. Like I feel like each relationship for me has transformed me and enabled me to grow to my next level. Because I feel like I learned so much from breakups.
Right.
Especially like the big heartbreaks.
Yeah. If you're the kind of person that's more self-aware and doesn't like to always, pinpoint like there's something wrong with all your partners, it's very easy to understand like that relationship. I don't know. And when a breakup happens, to really reflect on yourself and be like, why didn't this work out? And what was I contributing? And how was I communicating? And at what point, did I stop feeling that way or that person stopped feeling that way? It's really...
Like, pain is one of the biggest... It's like from the ashes grows a phoenix kind of situation every time. Pain pushes us into our next selves.
Or there could be no lotus without mud, I think is another quote.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's really nice to be able to not blame everything on a partner.
Right.
Although it's easy to do that, and I definitely have done that in various different ways.
Right.
But I think each time you're like, okay, like where did I lose myself in that relationship, and what could I do better? What am I looking for next? Kind of thing.
No, I feel like relationships are honestly the only time where you're almost like too self-aware or you're too like, I don't know, for me it's like, wow, this person is seeing so many different parts of me and I feel so exposed. And why do I feel, I don't know, like I don't want to feel that way, so now I want to run away, but trying to talk yourself through that and be like, okay, no, it's okay to be all on the table and
it's
not
like,
run away.
It's like your child self shows up in relationships. Because I really do think that sex and the sort of intimacy that we have in relationships, it's kind of like adult play, right?
Yeah.
And it's really us going back into being that like front. And we all kind of play fight and you know, we really do go back into being a kid with our partner. And I think that's why it's so much growth, because you're looking at like, okay, how can I now comfort and nurture my inner child from being hurt in this experience again?
Showing up for your, there's a quote actually that somebody said one time, it made me cry. It was either be or become who you needed as a child. Like that will always heal so much of you. And also, I don't know, it's like okay to, I think, be attracted to partners and try to heal that certain part, but definitely do not expect that of a partner. And know that you're the one that needs to heal that, the little one, the little person that feels too much or not enough.
So if we're attracted to emotionally unavailable men, then we have to be the emotionally available people.
Yeah. Because also even sometimes, I'm at that point where I'm not thinking of the person as like a bad person because they're emotionally unavailable. I'm more like...
They need to heal a big part of themselves, basically.
And it's also like each time I've ended it with someone because of that reason, I'm always like, my door's open, and if you want to talk or even develop a friendship, totally, that's on the table. Because a lot of times it's like, you still almost want to be emotionally available to that person, and not in a sexual or romantic way, but almost like, I see you, I understand you, and even though this didn't work out, you're not a bad person, and I hope you get what you are looking for someday.
You almost have to forgive. I do. At the moment, I've like decided to go like contactless with the guy I was just seeing,
and that's always good too,
but with like a check-in date in like a month, so we can kind of see where we're at in a month and be like, okay, am I feeling okay to like start a friendship now, or do I need like a little bit more time? Because I do feel the same way. Like, I don't think that they're bad people for being emotionally unavailable. They just have stuff.
Yeah.
And they also they need people to turn up, like to not always ditch them because of that as well.
Yeah.
But not to
And
sacrifice ourselves.
Yeah.
But we
No,
can
for sure.
do that as a friend.
It's a good dance to practice.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
What's a life event that shaped you?
I feel like this. Yeah, I was struggling to figure out what to say for this question. When I was 15, my mum had a brain tumor, and it was like a really like shock experience because she had been like struggling for like maybe a year prior, like just getting like steadily kind of like ill, and she went to the doctors and they just told her that she was going through the menopause early, and
I hate when doctors misdiagnose.
yeah,
That story is always really.
It happens so often as well, and especially with
Who gave you
with
your
women.
license?
Yeah,
That's a big one too, especially, I don't know, I feel like so many women, with, what's it called?
endometriosis.
Yeah, that's like the
Yeah.
biggest one. They're like, you're okay. I'm
Well,
like,
they do all.
no, they're
All
not.
tests have basically been done on men. Like all the research is from male test subjects, and female health has only just really been started. I think in the 90s, there's some like crazy statistics around female health. So it is wild. And I think quite often.
Also, I mean, the fact that they misdiagnosed a tumor, though, that's really crazy to me. Because endometriosis, and you want to just say that a woman is over-exaggerating is one thing, but if you're telling a woman that it's her...
Yeah. And she was having migraines, like, all the time. I remember her just, like, going to bed in the middle of the day and, like, just, really suffering. But no one really knew what was happening. And then she went to the opticians, and the opticians saw the tumor behind her eye when they did like the full exam.
Wow.
And she was like rushed to hospital. And I think I was 15 at the time, and I just it's such a weird experience because I felt like my body went into shock.
Right.
But I think the reason why it shaped me, and she did survive the brain tumor.
Thank God.
Was like that weird realization when you're a teenager that like life is so fragile.
And also realizing that your parent is also a human.
Yeah.
Because I think we grow up believing like they never get sick. They're never going to die. They're never going to. And then you become an adult and you're like, whoa.
Yeah. And my anxiety started at that point. And like I have trichotillomania, so I like pull out my hair, but it's all everything like started around that point in my life. My dad being a very unavailable emotionally man, he's a lot better these days, but he didn't really know how to support two teenagers. My sister was 3 years younger than me, so she must have been like 12 at the time. He didn't know how to support us. I remember him taking me on like a walk up to the top of this like hill in the South Downs and telling me that my mum might die and it would just be us three. Instead of being like, your mum might survive and we're all gonna get through this and let's hope for the best. It was like,
he really prepared you for the worst.
She might die, and I'm like, okay.
I feel like that's usually dad's go-tos. They're like,
right?
Moms are always want to protect us from the worst, and then dads are like, so here's what's going on.
Yeah. And I don't know whether I feel like that probably shaped me in a really weird way for my mental health.
That's for sure. When you get any sort of experience with death, whether it's there or it almost happens or it does happen, actually, like another thing that I didn't know we had in common, my sister had a brain tumor, but she didn't survive it. But she was, when I was 9, she was 4 when she passed. That was definitely like that was the first time I really like was like, wow, people die.
Yeah. And we're so
even
protected
people, and also knowing that, realizing that it doesn't matter if it's like someone you think deserves a life. Death is really, it's a natural part of life.
Yeah. I wonder whether it's like why I always dreamed of doing the most instead of just accepting what was like around me, like from being 17, being like, well, you know, like if life is so flimsy, well, I want to move to California at some point
and do and work in something that I believe in.
Exactly.
I think so. I'm sure that has a lot to do with it. I feel like when people are so sheltered or don't know like how fragile life is, or at least don't have that realization, it's usually the people that are very comfortable with settling.
Yeah.
But also, I don't judge. Like, if that's the life you want, that's totally fine. But I think when you've gone through grief and trauma, it's very easy to be like, well, you know what? I want the most out of this lifetime. If this is the only lifetime, whether that's,
Yeah, and it makes you kind of not believe in anything protecting us, like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
And I think that really does push you to live the most.
Yeah, and show up for yourself.
Exactly. And people around you.
Yeah.
And like to help other people, maybe that's like a big thing as well. I love helping people.
Yeah. I feel like I do, and then there's some times where I'm like, I'm just going to be a hermit. Please don't call me.
I also feel that way. That's why I moved to the desert.
But I do, or like, I don't know. When I see like a girlfriend's calling me, I'm like, oh, I know this is going to be like an hour-long conversation. But also like...
I feel that.
Well, there's something that I realized in the last few years, though, too, like, that's made me feel less guilty, is because a lot of people, and I've tried to do this too, even if I'm going through a hard time, is if you're calling someone or, you know, about to meet up with someone and just dump, kind of making sure they're in a place where they can take that on.
Yes.
Because my mom would do that a lot. She would call me, and when she was going through her last divorce, and just dump. And so eventually I would just text her, and I was like, okay, I need you to check in before you call me. And she started doing that. I'd just be like, what's up? What are you doing? Or like, are you emotionally in a place for me to, again, be very vulnerable and kind of just let it all out?
Yeah.
So now I'm like getting better at either letting people know that, like, hey, most of the time I am this friend where you can call and just dump, but I'm also going through something, or I'm just not emotionally able to show up for you right now.
Yeah.
And just kind of let them know.
I need to do that more often as well.
It's taken a long time for me.
My parents did that during their divorce with me. It went on for 6 years. And I was like the eldest at the time. I was like 21 when it all started. And both of them would just bitch about each other to me. I was like, I even have to call my mum out on it now when she starts bitching about my dad, because they don't talk still.
Right. No, it's
I
always...
I actually like my dad now. I didn't used to so much, but like I really like him now.
Yeah. No, that was something that I told both my parents now that I'm an adult, because they split up when I was really young. But as an adult, I'm like, I had to make that realization of, I'm like, I always felt guilty being with one of you because of how much you both would just talk shit about each other, and that was really unfair, and they both apologized.
I feel that guilt thing. Like even now, like I'm not so much when I hang out with my mum, but it's more so that I know that when I'm with my dad, my mum definitely has resentment, or like she's
won't
jealous.
Like talk for a while.
Like,
You're like, okay.
It's weird when you're adult parents.
I had to do that too with when my mom went through her last breakup with my stepdad, because I really liked him. And I'm like, you know, I am on your team because you're my mom and I'm always going to be there. But I also really like my stepdad. So is there a way we can, like, you know, talk about how unfair you feel like this situation is, and, you know, everything you're going through, without it sounding like you're attacking him? She was like, and she did. And now they're actually like on great terms and good friends.
That's really good.
She's sort of on good terms with my dad. They don't really talk though. And they both have realized that they're like, we can only be around each other for maybe like an hour.
Wow.
And then it's just, there are those people, I think, that just trigger something in you. And so you're like, you gotta learn, like, we could be in the same room.
Yeah, you just need to
For
learn
about
how
an
to
hour.
tolerate. I feel like if you have kids in common, you kind of
Oh,
just have to
yeah.
learn how to tolerate. Even like if
Yeah.
they're grown up adults.
Oh, yeah.
Because it still affects us.
Yeah.
You know,
No.
even in
Yeah.
our 30s.
The last time they were in the same room, I even, like, they started arguing, and I just, like, I, like, covered my ears and was just like, hey, I'm being triggered right now. Can you guys please stop? Because I know you are both way too old to be doing this now.
Yeah.
But they were like,
Yeah.
they were early 20s when they were together. So I'm like, I get it. When they trigger each other, it's like that kid that fell in love and
Yes.
got knocked up really early
Yeah.
is the one who's in this argument. It's not the healed 40-year-old version of themselves.
Yeah. That's really, yeah. That's
But they did. I literally was like, I am triggered. And I really don't say that ever, even if I am emotionally having a hard time. I barely say, like,
yeah, it
I'm
feels
triggered.
very millennial to say.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, God. Like,
Or
I'm
is it a
not
Gen Z thing? I'm
really,
not sure.
I think it's more Gen Z.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now I'm like, that was the only time I said it, and I was being for real. It's like, this is not chill.
Gotta set those boundaries.
I know. Whew, okay. We're going to steer away from parents for a second. If you had to describe your personality as a flavor, what would it be?
Ooh.
Baked potato with two.
No, I'd hope that I'm less bland than a potato.
Yeah.
But also I really don't know. That's a really hard question.
But
to
the beautiful
answer
thing
yourself.
the beautiful thing about potatoes, though, is it can go with anything. You can
And
really
they taste
make,
fucking good.
and it tastes fucking delicious.
I actually think that that's probably one of the best ones because it's so versatile.
Right, yeah.
So if you're saying you're
If
like
you're
a potato,
saying-
you're like extremely
You're
versatile.
not just
I mean,
a potato.
to
You're
be
someone
fair,
who can.
I am a Gemini, so
Oh, there you go.
we're
There
very
you go.
versatile.
Very
creatures,
versatile.
So maybe I am a fucking potato.
Baked potato.
A baked potato. No, because
No.
I feel like you have to scale it back at
Right.
least so you can do whatever you want with
That's
potato.
true. You're like, you could smash me, you can
Yeah.
bake me, you can
Exactly.
slice me
Flavor
up.
me,
Yeah.
dip me in something.
Hot oil. Maybe not.
Wait, what? I'm curious what you are.
My flavor.
Mm.
I feel like I have answered that, but I forget what I said.
I think we always just joke and say spicy, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
What sort
I
of spicy
forget.
though? I feel like there's an undertone to a spice.
Cholula. I'm
Oh,
Cholula
that's-
sauce.
That's my favorite
I like that
also.
one.
So
Yeah, that's out of all the like mass-produced ones, that's the best one. I think.
Yeah.
definitely. Definitely.
Describe myself as a flavor. Don't know. It's kind of, the thing is, I'm like, I have so many different versions of myself that I don't
Yeah.
know.
I
I
get
really
that.
don't know.
I really, really get that.
Mm-hmm.
There is so many different layers.
Like a casserole, I don't know. Like
bolognese.
bolognese, yeah. What are some unpopular food opinions you have?
Unpopular food opinions. I don't know if I have any. Oh, I don't really like coffee. I don't like coffee. Yeah, that's a very unpopular. But that's just because I don't like the taste of it. So I
Right.
don't know if that's. I'm not like hating on coffee. I kind of wish that I did like it. But
I feel like coffee is not as popular as it was. I feel like people are starting to realize, like, it's all about matcha, or
I know.
it's
I
about
started drinking matcha way before everyone else.
Also,
Oh,
is
there
it
you go.
is it because you're British and you're like a tea person?
Not even though, because I feel like matcha is like more of like a, because it's a powdery tea.
Yeah,
it is tea.
that's true.
But like it's like no, it's not a tea.
it's not
bag.
something. It's not English.
No, it's definitely not English.
Oh no,
It's
I meant
definitely
is that why you don't
Japanese.
like coffee? Like
Oh
yeah.
no, because most people in the UK also drink coffee.
Oh, I didn't know that. All I knew was
Yeah,
tea.
I
most-
thought it was just tea.
Yeah. I thought
I
it was the only
mean,
thing that was allowed.
it is real. The tea thing is definitely real. If someone comes over to my house,
You're
I
gonna
will
like
be like,
tea
"Would you
and-
like a cup of tea?"
Oh, I love that
Yeah.
because I know it's also gonna be in a tiny teacup. It's not gonna
It
be
won't
like
be though. I won't give you a tea. I
you're
don't have
British.
a set of little
You should.
teacups.
I feel like that's if I was British, that's the one British thing I would take advantage of and like be so stereotypical
If I ever invite you over, I'm
about.
gonna make sure I have a little
You
teacup.
gotta have a
for
little
you.
teacup.
I love tea, and then on I don't know if you've ever seen Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
On Ted Lasso, the guy calls it dirty water, and that's why he doesn't like
Yeah.
tea. And I can't get that out of my head. I think it's so funny. But
That's
I do love
true.
tea.
Yeah, I
had
love
to, I had
tea.
to
I do
force
love tea.
myself to like tea when I was a teenager because I was like, I
Oh.
really don't get it.
Well, what
so I
kind
put like
of-
5 sugars in it.
Yeah, because it's English breakfast tea is kind
Yeah.
of like a black tea,
Yeah.
which is honestly just a few steps away from coffee
Yeah,
because of the
pretty
bitterness and like caffeine.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I
pretty
get
much.
that.
Although I'd have it now without sugar, so
Yeah.
that was growth.
Do you? It's a British thing to put milk in coffee, right? Is that what you guys do? I mean, not coffee, tea.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
put milk and tea.
Yeah.
But not what you guys do.
No, we do
Sometimes
like Starbucks does disgusting things to coffee.
Someone
and
told me that they
teas.
put milk in mint tea
Ew,
over
no,
here,
no.
and that, or even green tea.
Mm,
Like if it's
No.
like a herbal tea, you would never put milk in it. It's only
No.
like Earl Grey,
Yeah.
and rooibos.
that's the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, an English breakfast tea. Obviously, you put milk in.
I didn't know there was a difference between Earl Grey and English breakfast.
Yeah,
I'm not
there
gonna
is.
lie.
Yeah, there is.
Today I learned.
Earl Grey is like slightly floral.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the most important thing to you right now?
Ooh, that's a big question. I'm like really trying to step into a different energy within myself. I really want the next phase of my life to be trying to explore my femininity a little bit more in terms of motherhood. I would really like to be a mom at some point in the next like 5 years. So I'm really gonna try and encompass that energy
Yeah.
within myself. And I almost feel like starting to do intimacy coordination, I feel like it really kind of
Yeah,
encompasses that.
It does. It's so nice.
And I've now got a gorgeous dog that I'm a mother
yeah.
to. So
Mother of one.
yeah.
What does your bio say?
It just says bi and mother at the
Bi
end of it.
and mother.
Just at the end of it.
Bisexual mother.
Yeah. I feel like these days it's just nice to let people know that you're not just straight.
Yeah, just let them know. There's a
Just
few
letting them
flavors you're
know.
willing to
In
try.
case they want to slide into my DMs.
Right.
Exactly.
That's true. Yeah. We got some producer questions or fan
Yeah,
questions?
we do have some producer questions. And then because I'm gonna be the annoying person in charge, just be careful how you answer some of these questions,
Okay.
please.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right. So this first one is about your book. This this book will make you feel something, which, as we've come to understand, is a collection of techniques to love yourself, so to speak, and meditations. How important is being connected to your body to intimacy? Does that make sense?
Fundamental. I feel like it's something that we all really don't put enough emphasis onto as well with sex. We kind of just expect that pleasure happens.
Yeah.
But at first we need to learn ourselves, we need to learn our own bodies to really understand what feels good in order to feel the pleasure with other people. And I think what my book does is it teaches you about like your anatomy and like all the things that you can do to yourself to connect in like a deeper way. There's like mirror work, massage work, as well as just like all the things that you need to know for clitoral and G-spot. And then also I have all the erotic stories to warm everyone up into the right mood.
Ooh, I love that.
That's awesome. A lot of your work is with like millennials and the younger generation. How do you explain sex positivity to like a younger crowd?
Oh, that's a really good question as well. I feel like sex positivity is kind of just taking the shame away from the conversation. A lot of us have been taught that we shouldn't be talking about it, that it's taboo, and that we shouldn't. Sorry, my brain.
Oh,
just
you're good.
went bleep. Sorry, I might have to reframe. Having an ADHD moment.
I know. Well, I mean, I feel like, the generations before are the ones now that are trying to that have already figured out, like, not to feel shame.
Yeah.
Like, my mom's not prude-ish, but I definitely was always just way more curious and
Really?
in my body.
I wonder if
and
it's a British thing.
But I feel like when I was in high school or, talking about experiences with friends, so many girls did not touch themselves.
No.
And didn't ever experiment with that. And I feel like you need to know your own body because it translates into how to be comfortable with being intimate with someone.
Yeah.
Or even like the amount of women that I know in the adult industry that don't actually orgasm or know how to
Wow.
because they've either, it's like they're in the industry, they know they're a sexual person or at least portraying one, but they're not connected in the way and know how to like feel comfortable
Yeah.
in that way. They're very comfortable with pretending in the acting part, but then you talk to them about their experiences and a lot of times they really just, they're still in the mindset of seeing sex as like a disconnecting thing and like a thing that they check out. They mentally check out of. And I feel like a lot of those people, just didn't ever explore or experiment or thought, it was too taboo when they were younger.
Mm-hmm.
So
no one ever spoke to me about like pleasure.
Same.
At all. So everything that I was doing, I thought I was the first person that ever discovered touching themselves, honestly.
Yeah.
And then when people start talking about sex, it's all about like vaginal penetration, basically.
Yeah, they think that's
not about
Yeah.
masturbation. And obviously sex education just taught us like the bare minimum and that we shouldn't really be doing it because it wasn't safe.
Yeah.
And
They don't even tell you how to talk to each other as
Yeah.
girls and how to interact at all.
Yeah. There's like
here's how to have
no,
sex.
and then there's no like proper sex education, and then the porn that usual teenagers start to watch is not porn that is like even like that's not how sex is gonna be for them.
No, not at all. And there's a
So
lot
they
of
don't
damage
know.
from
Yeah.
that happening. At the moment. But I feel like sex positivity really is just teaching people how to connect with themselves, have conversations, and to help them have better sex lives with people around them and with themselves. I think fundamentally it's all about how really you love yourself.
Yeah, I like that.
Where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Florence Bark, and the podcast Come Curious, that's COME, Curious, and that's on YouTube. Well, we're kind of banned from YouTube at the moment, but we'll be back on YouTube at some point. And on Instagram as well, Come Curious.
Yes.
And on OnlyFans, Florence Curious.
Nice. Oh, and your book.
Oh yeah,
Your
and my book, if you want to check that out, is This Book Will Make You Feel Something. And also check out my latest film for Erica Lust's
Oh, yes.
Dark Desert Highway.
Ooh. Dark Desert Highway. I heard Doctors at the Highway. I was like, that
That'd be a
sounds
very
interesting.
different film.
That's why I was like, no, because I've seen what you've been promoting. I'm like, that doesn't make. I was like, there's no doctors in that.
Definitely not.
Dark Desert Highway.
Yeah.
Lovely. You guys know where to find me. So, anyways, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.